I'm Carrie, and I'm going to read Girls Are Turning to Violent Crime by Philip Johnson, Home Affairs editor. Girls commit more than 1 in 4 of all juvenile crimes are becoming increasingly involving violence, according to a government study published yesterday. In 1957, girls accounted for only 1 crime in 11. This striking change was highlighted in a report into antisocial behavior in adolescents. It shows that the criminal activities of so-called girl gangs are part of a worsening trend. Over the past 10 years, the number of arrests of girls for violence has more than doubled, and juvenile crime is increasing at a faster rate among girls than boys. This is said to be almost entirely the result of the post-war period, particularly family breakdown, that is evident across the Western world. In the past, girls were effectively supervised and were less likely to be exposed to antisocial influences. Anne Hagel, one of the authors of the report, said, "Parents are less likely to supervise daughters as they once did. Young girls are spending increasing amounts of time at school. Also, where once a 13-year-old would sit in her own bedroom listen to records with a friend, now there is a trend toward girls doing the same as boys have always done, which is going around on the street in groups of 5 or more. Boys are more likely to be involved in burglary and drug offenses, but the ratio falls from criminal damage, robbery, violence, and theft." The report says that poor parental supervision is a major factor in delinquency, and the increase both in juvenile crime and the involvement of girls has coincided with high divorce rates and family breakdown. There is also a vicious circle at play, with antisocial girls more likely to become teenage mothers and to be less in a position to give their own offspring the care and that can prevent the next generation sliding into criminality. And the next article is Parents Feed Secret Cameras to Spy on Their Children. American parents are boggling their children's telephones, installing secret cameras in clock radios, and sending strands of hair retrieved from pillows for analysis at drug laboratories. They are resorting to Cold War espionage techniques and science to fight drug and alcohol abuse, which many turned into a way of life during their hippie days a generation ago. Baby boomers are hiring companies to bring sniffer dogs into their homes to track down traces of dog. Radio shops sell home surveillance equipment. Telephone box cost 20, and you can buy a chemical analysis kit on the internet for 45 if you want proof from the air in your daughter's comb, for example, that she is taking drugs. Aerosol sprays and special chemical socks, cotton wipes, as simple as home pregnancy kits, are available to see if there is cannabis or other narcotic residues on car seats or other surfaces. Parental spies run the risk, if caught, of destroying the remnants of trust in their relationship with their children. But the trend is growing. Most American teenagers have telephones and televisions in their rooms, and many have computers and internet access. Parents feel that they should be able to get to their children, even surre- surreptitiously, surreptitiously because the rest of the world does. And the next article is Mexican teenagers girls trained as drug cartel killers by Dave Graham. Mexico City Reuters drove by surrounding reporters and with her head bowed to avoid the television cameras. The slender 16-year-old hesitated slightly before she answered the question. "I'm a hit woman," she said. Maria Celeste Mendoza was among 6 teenage suspected gang members arrested this week by police after a shootout with authorities in central Mexico, one of the growing ranks of young people working for the country's drug cartels. Dressed in combat fatigues and with her face hidden, the girl from the northern border state of Tamaulipas described how she had been trained to use Kalashnikov assault rifles and other weapons by the Zetas, one of Mexico's most brutal gangs. In a listless stroll, Mendoza said she was paid 12,000 pesos, $100, for 2 weeks of work, more than 3 times the national average. Although she said she was trained as a hit woman, it was unclear if she had killed anyone yet. As is customary in Mexico, she and the other suspects, 6 of whom were women aged 21 or below, were paraded in front of the media by police after their capture in San Cristobal de la Barranca, near the country's second city, Guadalajara. Rising youth unemployment, easy access to drugs, and quick cash cartels offer recruits are all blamed for failing. The delinquency that has cast a shadow over Mexico's future. Organized crime has become a job provider for a section of the population who don't have a lot of other options, said Victor Clark Overall, director of the Binational Center for Human Rights in Tijuana on the Mexico border with California. Since 2000, the age at which people start getting mixed up in organized crime has fallen, he added, and in the last few years the age has dropped to about 17 or 18. Detailed figures on the role of minors in the cartels are scarce, but newspaper reformers said the number charged with involvement in organized crime jumped to 214 last year from 8 in 2007, citing data from the Attorney General's office. The arrest of Mendoza and another 16-year-old girl with her, Isela Sendova, is part of the trend. Sendova also said she had been trained as a hit woman, but that she had not killed anyone yet, according to Mexican media reports. Around 40,000 people have died in escalating drug-related violence since President Felipe Calderón sent in the army to try to crush the cartels at the end of 2006. Live fast, die young. Although authorities have arrested a number of teenage hitmen in the past few years, It is highly unusual for women to work as killers for drug gangs, said Clark Averill. This may just be an isolated case, but it may mean a new is emerging in the world of organized crime, he said. Last December, Mexican soldiers captured suspected drug gang hitman Edgar Jimenez, known as El Ponches, a 14-year-old U.S. citizen who the Army said had admitted killing several people while under the influence of drugs. The vast quantities of narcotics moving across the country toward the lucrative markets of Europe and the United States have helped to turn Mexicans onto drugs earlier than before. Kids are starting to take drugs younger and younger, said Alberto Islas, a security expert at consultancy Risk Evaluation. A decade ago, the average age was 14, now it's 10. This has the effect of lowering their perception of risks, coupled with the fact that youth employment is now double what it was 10 years ago. In a country whose growing population is one of the youngest in the Americas, the trends present the cartels with a rich source of cheap labor. Young folk are recruited because they are potentially more aggressive and less likely to care about the consequences than adults. They'll take more risks, said Clark Averill. He said it is often a short career with the Attorney General's office, calculating that young men who get mixed up in organized crime will, on average, be dead within 3 or 4 years. The New York for the Rights of Children in Mexico, REDIM, an advocacy group, says some 30,000 children are believed to work for criminal gangs in Latin America's number two economy, where delinquency is often blamed on high dropout rates at school. But even those who remain in the classroom are far from safe from the allure of drugs, guns, and crime. A 2009 government survey of some 55,000 secondary school children in 5 Mexican cities showed more than 1 in 5 have seen classmates carry a weapon, and that 1 in 8 would sell marijuana for cash if a friend egged them on. Those who graduate toward the cartels can expect a brutal schooling from their new teachers. According to the testimony of Miguel Ortiz Miranda, a member of La Familia cartel captured last year, whose interrogation later surfaced on YouTube. In graphic details, he calmly described how new assassins were quickly put to the test with selective victims. We made the new ones kill them, and slice their throats, and quarter them, and all that, so that the new people would lose their fear of cutting an arm or a leg, he said. Others end up as drug dealers, fixers, or watchmen, but those safer jobs do not always pay as well. According to Beatriz Hernandez, 21, one of the other women arrested with Mendoza, who said she earned 4,000 pesos every 2 weeks as a lookout, with Mexico struggling to clean up its justice system or create more decent jobs. Some young people see gangland murders as a real career option. This is about the impunity here is the last stage. Because of this, the perception of risk attached to committing this kind of crime is very low. Murders are not solved in Mexico. And here, and this is my, I'm going to answer question number 1. How are parents checking their children's behavior? Um, I think there are so many ways for parents to check their children's behavior, either good or bad. I've heard parents keep an eye on children by watching or reading children's private stuff, such as their diary, telephone, or messages. Although parents' goal is to prevent children from making making bad friends or do some bad behavior, I still think it's totally terrible. I have to admit that my mother has done the same thing on me when I was in elementary school, and I feel extremely mad at that time. No one wants to be spied on with such way even we're still a child. When I was in the elementary school, I had a habit of having diary. That is, I keep all the secrets inside. But one day I found out my diary was opened by someone. When I figured out who had opened it, my mother told me not to have a close relationship with boys. And I started wonder that my mother had read my diary. And that's the fact. I was so unhappy, but I couldn't do anything because my parents are so strict. After that, I kept my diary in a secret place that can be found by anyone but me. Also, I behaved well so that my parents wouldn't keep much attention to me. Besides, my my friend once told me that her her experience her mother demanded her to call back every 1 hour if she went out, and to tell what's she doing at that time. We may think it's really ridiculous, but she kept the habit for many years, until now, and she never disobeys the rule. However, I think every family keeps their own way to check their uh, children indeed. And the second question is, what risk is there if the children find out? As for me, I can't do anything because my parents are so strict that I can't even dare to complain for that. Although it's really a bad behavior that's due to me. I also think most Asian children don't dare to fight back with their parents because it is our tradition and our moral concept. We bear secrets inside and we bear our feelings inside instead of telling our parents. But as for American children, I think maybe they can convey their thoughts more freely. They may argue or communicate with their parents directly. However, no matter it is an American or an Asian child, children will probably get mad when it comes to that situation. They may have a cold fight with their parents or even escape from home when the situation gets uh, worse and worse. Although parents' ultimate goal does good to children, it will still harm the relationship between them and the children. Moreover, children will be sad that their parents don't believe them. I really think spying on the children with secret cameras or some secret equipment is totally terrible, and I believe that there must have another better way to keep an eye on children. Children are not prisoners, and they don't even commit a crime. Therefore, they don't deserve that kind of bad supervision. They should have their free space, and they should have their privacy. I think parents should regard themselves as their children to see whether the way is good or bad to their children. They can also communicate with their children or ask them questions directly to check their behavior. It's truly a better way for every parent to show considerations instead of spying on them secretly. And that's my thank you, Mara, and that's my record. Thank you.